like AI with that practice shit or Rocky on the stairs. Either way, I'm official. Shit I've been through, need a prayer. You gon' probably see the Lord when I hit you with this chair. Woo, feel like Ric Flair, yeah. Bang your baby mama 100 times like a snare. I'm the wild when and where. Yeah. Pissy drunk off Julio, I pop off like a flare. If I ain't with the $1 billion show, I'm probably in my lair. Going dummy on something like people up under the stairs. I'm a mummy or something, rap a nigga like I ain't present. Got a shout out to that nigga that tried to murder my ex. Know you a blessing to this world and I just pray you get protection. Silly nigga, the money show me affection. Pistol on me moving so freely, some call it reckless. Double necklace like the cup that I'm drinking out of got Henny in. Ghost tells I give you the game cause you know we really in. Lame. Yeah.
Me, I'm on my grizzly. I be smoking till I'm dizzy. Got the stances on the glizzy. Don't make me spin this bitch like frisbee. Talking about me, shit get risky. I want money, pumps they itchy. Niggas wasn't with me trenches. Niggas better keep your distance. I be on this mission. Blue cheese ain't no dressing. I be vibing, ain't no stressing. If I'm there, I keep my weapon. I want mine and I want extra. If you owe me, I'm gon' catch it. I've been on the pot and pressure. Push that weight like I wrestle that Fago. Turn your west to Casper. Collect that plate like a pastor. I'm a money making bastard. Certain squares, white castle, ducking handcuffs and them shackles. I want cheese like a pack of niggas. Snitch without the rider. Me knowing that it's half the battle. Me blow stacks to make them matter. If I'm fucker, then I spatter. Getting heads, you know I'd rather get that bread. You know I'd rather eat that dick. You know I love her. When I'm finished, you can get her. When I'm finished, you can get her.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
Hey, yo, it's your boy PT Cruiser doing what, man. K.com, you already know how we do it, man. PT Cruiser and it's on, baby. ATL, listen, yeah.
Holy.
Y'all already know what time it is. Thing soup. Just reheated. Another day for the truth. See, when Sam ain't here, I can kind of do my thing, the controversial truth, which gives me an opportunity to talk about some controversial issues and just speak truth to them. And every now and again, I don't have all the answers. You know, I'm not that smart. I believe I'm highly intelligent, meaning I can learn, I can comprehend, and I can apply. But when it comes to having all the answers, I don't have all the answers. I can go ahead and tell you that now. I'm just like everybody else trying to figure this thing out. And if you got it figured out, then great. You can help me out then. Because I don't got it all figured out. So today, I'm really leaning on the chat today. You know, I really want to get y'all thoughts on a lot of different issues that I'm gonna bring up today. Yeah, I'm gonna get into some sports because we got Thursday night football tonight between the Commanders and the Packers. So, I want to talk about it. We got a big fight this weekend with Canelo and Crawford. That should be a really good fight. I want to speak about it a little bit and get y'all thoughts and ideas on it. But first, let's just go ahead and, you know what? We're going to get to the controversy in 1 second. Matter of fact, I might as well go ahead and get into it now because I only got an hour, and an hour may not even be long enough, but I got an hour. Today is 9/11, and I didn't do this graphic. I didn't put up this graphic. Shout out to Edgar Champagne for doing a lot of the graphics that we do. Some of them I put up, but Edgar put a lot of them up. But we're going to start off with the 9/11 quote unquote terrorist attack. And I don't know how y'all feel about it. I'm one who doesn't understand the math when it comes to two planes hitting. It was one plane hitting a building and knocking 3 buildings down. That math don't add up to me. So when I think about 9/11, based on the information that I have and the footage that I've seen, that was an inside job. If it was terrorists, it was an act of domestic terrorism from the highest of the highest places all the way up to the White House. And a lot of people have been deceived and told that it was Bin Laden who they supposedly killed, but we never seen the body. It's really hard for me anyway. I don't believe none of these people say. I don't buy it. It's just hard to believe because they've been lying for so long. They've been stealing for so long. They've been killing for so long. They've been evil for so long. At what point does somebody say, even though I know they've been lying to me, they've been deceiving me, they've been treating me harshly, you know what? I believe them. That's that Stockholm, what that syndrome where you start to be infatuated with your capturer or the people that's doing you wrong. Like, I just don't buy it. So the whole 9/11 idea that these planes took down 3 buildings when one of the buildings didn't even get hit. I mean, make it make sense to me. Like I said, I'm relying on you people in the chat. Maybe y'all got some information that I don't have. Maybe y'all can see some things that I don't see. But as far as I'm concerned, I do empathize and sympathize with the victims of 9/11 who had nothing to do with what had happened. They had nothing to do. They just going to work or they going to school, they going to buy their very own day. And unfortunately, your government was at war with you. And I sympathize for them people because there's a lot of people who lost their lives, who lost families. And it should have never happened. Right. I'm with Stacey. Shout out to Stacey McKenzie. Shout out to Mocha in the chat. Yeah. I'm sorry for the people who got caught up in that. Because on any given day, any of us could be a victim of wrongdoing or evil. You could be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So you stay prayed up. Keep praising the Most High and just believe that you're protected in that way. But other than that, it's unfortunate. Now we got to get to this real controversial topic that's really going on. I'd be remiss if I didn't speak on Charlie Kirk. There's a lot of commentary going around about one Charlie Kirk, and I find that depending on what race you are, it might affect on how you feel about Charlie Kirk and the murder of Charlie Kirk. And I find myself to be conflicted because the humanitarian side of me, which is the side I prefer to dominate and the side to be, I believe that everyone should have a right to say what they want to say without having the backlash of being murdered. Right? I also understand that what you say plus the actions that you put behind what you say can be a very dangerous thing right here in America. Now, there's a lot of outrage over Christian Kirk and the murder of Christian Kirk. If y'all are not privy to it, he was doing a speech in Utah and he got shot because he's somewhat of a political activist, should I say, especially for the right party. And I don't mean the right as mean right, but what they would refer to as right wing. And the humanitarian side of me said, damn, a man can't say what he says, but there's a lot of action. He puts a lot of actions behind what he says. And when you do that, that can be a very dangerous thing in America. We can go back in the history of America. I mean, I'll just go back to Malcolm X and Dr. King, who harmed nobody. They weren't killing people. They weren't out there robbing people, hurting people in the streets. But their words, followed by the action that they were putting behind their words, had them murdered. We can go back well before Dr. King and Malcolm X as we get into the struggle of Black America in the history of this country. And a lot of times, what a Black person said, followed by some actions, and sometimes it ain't have to be no actions followed by. It depends on what you said and who you was around when you said it. It can get you off. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. There's another side of me that is a part of being raised in this country, going to the schools in this country, watching the television programming, being a part of the music programming. I should just say the programming period. And the things I've learned and the things I've experienced in this country, being who I am and being the complexion that I am, that makes it very difficult for me to sympathize with the murder of Charlie Kirk. Now, Charlie Kirk did a lot of speeches and he said a lot of things. And of course, there are some things that he spoke about that I might agree with. When it comes to things, his stance on abortion and things of that nature. Some of his stances on, some of his political stances, I might agree with. Definitely when it comes to things like some of the stances on education and the reform of education. Some of the things I could agree with. But for me to sit here and pretend that Charlie Kirk wasn't a racist, that'll be very, what can I say? That'll be a very false. that would be leading people down the road. No, this was a racist. Charlie Kirk was a capitalist. Charlie Kirk is, in my opinion, way far right than somebody else who a lot of people, especially black people in the black community, who they dislike. And we're talking about Donald Trump. He was Donald Trump's right-hand man because he pushed a lot of agendas that Donald Trump didn't even want to touch because of the backlash you might get. And Mocha says she don't know who Charlie Kirk was. And to be honest, Mocha, a lot of people, definitely a lot of people who are forming their opinions on Charlie Kirk, a lot of people didn't know who Charlie Kirk was. It's right. It's only getting out because of who he was, which was a staunch MAGA supporter and somebody who really pushed the agenda. And because of the way that he died, the right wants to make him out to be some sort of martyr. They're even calling the murder of Charlie Kirk an assassination, which is really a slap in the face to a lot of people because Charlie Kirk wasn't necessarily a humanitarian. He wasn't someone that was pushing humanity and pushing love for all the people. Now, I got a list of things that I wrote down that, in my opinion, were alarming to me. And because I do follow politics somewhat, I'm kind of privy to Charlie Kirk and some of the things he had done, but I choose mostly not to pay attention to him because he's a crook-ass crocker. At the end of the day, that's just the truth of the matter. Even if I can agree with some of the stuff he said, he's a crook-ass crocker. Shout out to Poetic Sense. What's up, Poe? I'm glad you're listening while you're on the road. Listen to the controversial truth right here on the Inner Game Network, the Built for This radio network. Also, my personal channel, One Man Cave. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button if you ain't subscribed already. Make sure you subscribe. But I'm going to get into a list of things that I had wrote down about Charlie Kirk just so I can make sure I stay in line on a lot of things. And again, if you're in the chat, you want to chime in, please chime in with your opinions and your thoughts. And let's talk about it. Because I really think with this situation with Charlie Kirk and the way that it's so controversial, that it's so polarizing, should I say, depending on which race or which viewpoint you come from, I think this is really a great time for America to talk about it. And not about necessarily Charlie Kirk, but let's talk about the issues. Let's have a discussion, not a debate, a conversation amongst people who are able to listen, comprehend what the other side is saying, and whether you agree or disagree, at least try to understand. And let's find some sort of common ground. Poetic Sense, thank you for chiming in. Charlie was racist, sexist, and targeted colleges and wanted to debate them even though he dropped out of college. Now, he did drop out of college. I think he went to Harper College in Chicago because he's from Chicago. And a lot of time he did target colleges because, what's up, Tony Williams? Shout out to you. He liked to target colleges because that's where the young people were. And what Charlie Kirk was really good at was getting young Americans, particularly young white Americans, to be far right and to go out and vote. You know, he might as well have been a lobbyist for Donald Trump. Go get them to see things the way he saw those things and go far right. Because you got to understand with Charlie Kirk, at 18, he was able to get another Republican, I forget his name right now, it'll come to me, to donate money to him and launch the corporation, the TPUSA, where he pretty much became a lobbyist for the Republican Party, where he would get together, make speeches, and go around the country, and he would push the agenda. He started out making like $57,000, and more and more people, white people in particular, kept donating into that fund or whatnot, to the point where he was making $300,000 a year easy, going around the country just speaking and pushing the agenda that he was pushing. Kirk believed in the superiority of the Western world. In a 2023 speech, he said that all men are created equal in the eyes of God. All men and women, but not all cultures are created equal. To say that, you get attacked in every direction, but excuse me when I say that Western civilization is the best that humanity has produced. It's an outgrowth of the Bible. Now, Kirk is also a staunch Christian, and he switches denomination based on which one is favoring him the most at the time. But to say that all men are created equals in the eyes of God, all men and women, but not all cultures are created equal, I take issue with that. Now, I don't take issue to the point where I think he should be murdered for his thoughts on that, but the fact that he says that, what culture are we referring to that's not equal? Or are we saying that any culture outside of Western civilization are not equal? Because, see, we understand, this is what y'all have to understand when it comes to white America, or white people in general. Just the facts, just the truth about it. Around the globe, they are the minority. There are more people around the globe with melanin in their skin than those people that are non-melanated. In America, there are more non-melanated people than there are melanated people. To put it in layman's terms, there are more white folks than there are black folks or any other melanated people. Latinos, Asians, you can put them all together. In their eyes and in their mind, this is their home. This is the land that they came and conquered and took and made as their home so that they can live the way they want to live, because up until that point, England was their home. And England was church and state. You know, it wasn't separated. The pilgrims that England said, y'all can go, y'all can leave. These are your heretics. These were your thieves. These were your child molesters. These are the outcasts of that society that they didn't really want to have nothing to do with. And they allowed them to come over to America. Now, when they got here, it was already people here. And the people that were already here were living off the concept of humanity. They didn't know who these people was. They didn't know what their agenda was. All they knew was these are humans, and we need to help them out. I don't have to give y'all a whole history lesson on what happened after that, but here we are today in a country that's over 75% white. And this is why they have an issue with the immigration policies and the immigration issues that were going on, because they don't want to be overtaken in what they consider their land. This is the issue that they're having with abortion. And don't get me wrong, I'm not for abortion myself, but there are a lot of white women who are having abortions, and that's slowing down and or decreasing the white population. They're afraid of that. They're in panic mode right now. And that's why a lot of the far right constituents had to put somebody in a place that will help them accomplish their agenda, which is preserving the white race. Excuse me. Let me get to some more points that I wrote down. Christian Kirk, he was a gun owner and a gun rights advocate. After the Parkland, remember the Parkland high school shooting that happened in February 2018? This is in Florida. I think this might be down towards Mocha neck of the woods. He spoke for the National Rifle Association, the NRA. Kirk was invited to a pro-gun event to the school where the shooting happened, but the event was eventually canceled. He said that guns, armed guards, and gun detectors could be used in order to prevent shootings. Now, in April of 2023, the TPUSA, which is Turning Point USA event in Salt Lake City, Kirk said, I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. It's so ironic that he was gunned down. But, like I said, it's hard to sympathize or empathize with him when he said he thinks it's worth to have a cost of unfortunate gun deaths every single year so that the Second Amendment can be preserved. Well, I would say in this case that this was an unfortunate gun death, but one that he advocated for. And I wonder if he was still alive today, if somehow he was able to see what was about to happen and saw what happened, would he still advocate that or still have that stance? Tony Williams, this case is eye for eye. Eye for eye. Eye for eye. You're totally correct. You're totally correct. I was talking to one of my buddies earlier today, and we were having a conversation about this very issue, and we were on different sides of the fence when it comes to this issue. And this is one of my light-skinned buddies, so you know he had white, had black, but I love him. He my folk. He's a very decent human being, family man, just one of the kindest people I know. And we had difference of opinions, but a lot of our opinions were also both conflicted. But one thing we differed on was he was saying, and this is going to be very controversial, but this is a controversial truth right here on the In the Game Network, built for this radio network. One man cave. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Oh, I put the wrong one up. I'm sorry. Hit the like and subscribe button. But one of the things he said to me, he said, I hope that the killer gets caught and brought to justice. And I said, I hope he gets away. Even though I stand by what I said and I believe in what I said, I wish it wouldn't be that way. I wish I wouldn't feel like that. I wouldn't see things like that. But like I said, in my experiences and my upbringing, the things I've learned, the things I've been privy to, and the fact that the people that we're discussing are liars, cheats, thieves, murderers, the person that killed Charlie Kirk did not kill Charlie Kirk because of what Charlie Kirk said in the speech at Utah. Whoever killed Charlie Kirk had already made up their mind way before he got to Utah that Charlie Kirk needed to die. And it was not solely because of the words that Charlie Kirk spoke, but the actions that Charlie Kirk was putting behind his words. So this person had already had an agenda that this was somebody who needed to die. Let me go on. I got some more points, and I'm gonna circle back around to this point. Kirk served as Donald Trump's on Donald Trump's 1776 commission, where he said that Democratic immigration policies were aimed at diminishing and decreasing white demographics in America. Again, this is part of the agenda that's being pushed, that this is why they want to cut down on illegal immigration, because they feel that it's diminishing and decreasing white demographics in America. And they want to run this country the way they see fit. They don't want to hear the voices of the Latino community. They don't want to hear the voices of the Asian community, but they will listen to the voices of the Asian community because the Asian community is backed by the Asian countries and it's big business. So they will listen to the Asian community. They damn sure don't want to listen to the black community. They don't want you to have voice, but what they also don't want is for you to create ruckus. Because let's be truthful here. All non-melanated people aren't the same. All white people are not bad white people. I've been fortunate enough to come across a lot of great white people in my lifetime. One of them is a lady by the name of Miss Vicky, who was my homeboy's mother. And Miss Vicky, I mean, when I was locked up and I was getting out of jail, Miss Vicky opened her home to me. Opened her refrigerator, her food. She just showed me nothing but love. So I talked to Miss Vicky all the time. Me and Miss Vicky had got like this. Now sometimes we conflicted on different things, but a lot of times I was somebody she could talk to and she was somebody I could talk to. And I remember one day, Miss Vicky, she was frustrated and she was crying and she was going on and on about how these white folks ain't worth this, these white folks ain't nothing and they evil. And I was young at the time, so I was confused. And I said, Miss Vicky, I said, how can you talk like this about white people when you white? And that's when she explained to me that all white people ain't the same. She like, I'm not like the government. I'm not like some of these crocker-ass crackers. And once she explained that to me, it was the best thing for me because it allowed me to be open and talking about white folks, understand that it's not about skin color, it's about mentality. You can be dark as me, and I can consider you white folk based on your mentality and your mindset. And that's what she was able to teach me. So now I felt more comfortable saying stuff like white folk. So with that being said, all white folk ain't the same. It's a lot of white. Dr. King had a lot of white folk marching with him. A lot of white folk helping him get his agenda pushed and passed into what we have known as the civil rights. And speaking of Dr. King, Christian Kirk had a lot of foul words to say about Dr. King. In December 2023, he used a speech at America Fest to describe Dr. King as quote unquote awful, not a good person, and as someone who is admired only because he said one thing that he didn't actually believe. The speech also saw Kirk condemn the Civil Rights Act of 1964, calling its passage a huge mistake. and alleging that it created a permanent DEI type bureaucracy. Once again, it's hard for me to sympathize for somebody who is a racist, although I think everybody should be able to say what the hell they want to say without having to facing the backlash of getting murdered. But this is why it's hard, and this is why a lot of black people right now are like, F this cracker. Well, a lot of white folks are on the side of he's a martyr. I mean, hell, they just put his body in the casket on Air Force Two and flew him back to his country, and Donald Trump called for the flags to be flown and have staff. He's an American hero today. Other things he said about DEI. In January 2024, Kirk blamed DEI programs for national aviation issues, saying, quote, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He called DEI anti-white. Now, we all know, anybody who's done their homework, that white women and white men profited more of DEI than black people did. Matter of fact, on the list, black people were number 6. You had white women, you had white men, you had the LGBTQ community, you had the Latinos. We were down at the bottom. So chances are, when you had a underqualified DEI hire, it was some white woman or some white man that got hired. And Mocha Bola said, this man is not a martyr. I agree, Mocha. This man is not a martyr. But I'm just telling you, we can say that. We can say he's not a martyr in our mind, but we're not writing the history. See, the people that write the history get to dictate what's going to be in the history books. When I was coming up in school, slavery was a topic in the history books. They started all Black history with you were a slave. They didn't go all the way back in the history and want to tell the truth about who we really were. They just started off as you a scum of the earth. You the lowest of the low. You Black. This is where your history begins. Which is why I'm conflicted when it comes to things where they want to kind of take that out of the history books. I kind of agree with it. But what they would do, they would take liberties and really go in and change all the history. And I don't think all the history should be changed because you want to clean up some of your mess historically. I just think they need to go further back in the history and tell the whole story. But that ain't what they want to do. They want to clean up their mess and act like they aren't who we know they ought to be. Like Dennis Green said, you are who I thought you were. Because when I was in school, and I was a rebel way back in high school, elementary, because they would teach us history. And I would see how historically these white folk were evil. I could see it. I mean, a lot of people were fascinated with the history, but I was looking at kings who would have a queen, and once they get through it or get rid of her, they would cut her head off, guillotine, put it on the plate, get married again. You don't like what she did? I'm done with her, cut her head off. I was seeing Vlad the Impaler and all these people put heads on sticks just to show other nations that we're to be feared. I was seeing some of the things that Napoleon was doing. These are the things I was coming up reading, and I was like, how is everybody not seeing the evil ways of these white folk? I was seeing that John Locke was in the church trying to sell people vouchers to get into heaven. Like you could buy your way to get into heaven. These are the things that I was comprehending. And Stacey McKenzie says, let me get it out. We keep forgetting racists are running the White House. Yeah, racists are running the country on every level. And that's what I've been trying to get people to understand. It's capitalism. Racism is a built-in component of capitalism. We keep on keeping our focus on Donald Trump, when the truth is why we're keeping our focus on him, it's allowing the invisible hand to do what they do. We're not paying attention to all these judges. We're not paying attention to these members of the Senate and of the Congress. We weren't paying attention. Even Mocha said, I don't know who Charlie Kirk is. Right. We so focused on Donald Trump. We're not paying attention for the people that are really pushing this racist agenda, because as a president, Trump can only do so much. I read at least 20 articles within the last 2 weeks of a lot of stuff that he's trying to push that have not been approved by a court or have been disapproved by the court. And now he got to go try to figure some other way to get those agendas pushed, because this is not a dictatorship. But it feels like that when you have everybody in your pocket and you have a whole bunch of people, and it starts with the people, because the truth is the power is with the people. But when you have a majority of the people who want to see these agendas pushed, these are the people that you work with. These are the people who you're at the football game with, you're at the basketball game with. These are the people when you go out and you want to go to the restaurant. These are the people sitting around you that don't have your best interest in mind. But they get to hide behind an invisible cloak and just tell you, hey, point at Donald Trump. While they're out there, the ones that are doing the real work. Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of more stuff on Christian Kirk. I mean, let me read some more. When he was in Minnesota during the leg of his tour, this October 5th, 2021, Kirk called George Floyd a scumbag. This is right after George Floyd got murdered by white police officers. Kirk promoted several debunked claims about Floyd, such as that he was illegally counterfeiting currency, which is not true, and had once put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, which was also not true. He did this on his social media platforms. Kirk repeatedly promoted the false claim that the medical examiner who performed the autopsy declared Floyd had died of an overdose. He didn't want to accept that George Floyd had been murdered by a white police officer. Tony Williams, this shit bigger than Trump. He just a puppet behind the veil that protect the real powers. Exactly. We're not even looking at, I ain't even got into the bankers, the people that really run this country, the people with the money, the people that gives out mortgages and loans. I mean, I run my own business. And I remember one day doing an old show that I used to do, Truck D said, everybody can't afford to own their own business. We can't all get a loan like you, Notty. And I was looking like, Truck D must not know me. I can't get a loan. I never got a loan. I just started out with some skills and some will. That's it. That's all I had. My mama, my uncles, they taught me a lot of skills coming up. And when I decided I didn't want to participate in the game that I was participating in, and they didn't want me to participate either because of who I was and my unwillingness to bow down or change, that it was going to be best that I just work for myself. Fortunately for me, I had the skills and the will to pull it off. But you look at Charlie Kirk, 18 years old, college dropout. he got the complexion for the protection. They gave him the loan. They give a lot of illegal immigrants. They come over if they're gonna play ball. They make sure they give them loans. Sometimes they don't even give them loans. They just give them the money right out. I guess you can call that a grant. These are the things that we're dealing with. Just in Utah, before he was murdered, there was a Ukrainian girl that was murdered on the train by a black guy. Now, there's so much outrage over this white girl getting killed on the train from this black guy when people are murdered every day, for one, but also the amount of black people that are killed or harmed by white people, particularly police officers. Every now and then, if it's shot on camera, you'll get some backlash. You'll get some outrage. But a lot of times, there's no outrage. This is Charlie Kirk's stance on that situation. That, quote, Democrats are spreading a false narrative that there is a relentless assault against black people on the behalf of white people. White individuals are actually more likely to be attacked per capita by black individuals in this country. Even though I disagree with the murder of a man or a woman or anybody for their stances on what they say, it's hard for me to sympathize. And this is why I told my friend earlier, I'm okay if they don't catch the killer. Not saying that he deserved to die, but sometimes you can understand why somebody got killed. But it's not because of their words. Words are one thing. Anybody can have a controversial take and say some things, but the actions that you put behind your words. And not saying that because you put certain actions behind your words that are polarizing that you should be killed, but you have to understand, and this is from my experience of living in America, that depending on what you say and the actions that follow what you say, America is a very dangerous place to be. Now, I'm pretty sure it's like that in other parts of the world. So I just want to wrap this up by saying we all got to be careful out here. It's almost like you're in a lose-lose situation. You can decide to bow down to the system and play ball and do what's necessary of you in order to survive and get along. And that might be a great option. But when you do that, you're strong along in their little game and they can get over anytime they want. And so you lose. You can be a rebel like myself and stick to your core values and do things the way that you see fit. And in the game of capitalism, you're still going to get strong along. You're still going to lose. But at least you got your dignity. At least you don't have that boulder on your shoulder that says, I'm not who the Most High made me to be. I'm always going to follow the orders of the Most High universe. And for everybody, that might be different. My calling, I'm pretty sure, is very different from another person's calling. Maybe your calling says to you, right now, you just need to fall in line. At some point, I'm going to tell you when to act and do X, Y, Z. But for now, I don't know. I just have to go off my faith in the Most High universe and what orders that I've been given. I didn't really want to do a controversial truth today. But there was this voice in my ear that said, I want you to do the controversial truth today. Do the controversial truth today. And that's why I didn't come on at 4:55. Mocha had hit me up and asked me, was I doing the show? Because I was scrambling to get it together. Because I wasn't going to do it. But, here we are. Tony Williams, watch what you say, but say what you mean. That's 100. That's 100. So, I'm just going to end that Charlie Kirk situation there. And again, all my prayers and thoughts go up to those senseless and tragic victims of 9/11 who had nothing to do with the agenda that was being pushed and the actions of what I believe our government to take down 3 buildings in New York and harm a lot of people and harm a lot of families. My condolences to those folks, and we're going to always remember here and the concern that the whole country felt. And I'm very empathetic and sympathetic towards that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back. We're going to wrap up this Thursday night football. Commanders against the Packers. I want y'all to take, and I want y'all to tell me who y'all got in this fight this weekend between Canelo and Terrence Crawford. Y'all stay tuned right here on The Controversial Truth. Stay tuned.
All right. In the Game with former NBA coach Sam Mitchell is taking a break. We'll be back in less than 2 laps. This is the In the Game Network. Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network. And we're back on the In the Game Network with Coach Sam Mitchell.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it real quick. Some NFL. Packers, Commanders tonight. Jaden Daniels versus Jordan Love. Now, I'm not sure if Michael Parsons is going to play. He already had the back issue, and he played Sunday, and he gave a hell of a performance. But this Thursday night game, that's a quick turnaround for somebody who might have a back injury. So I'm not sure the effectiveness, if he even does play, that he will have on the game. You got Jaden Reed, who has some sort of foot injury. This is a quick turnaround for him too. He has a Liz-Frank injury in his foot that really requires surgery, but he's been playing through the pain. And so when I look at it, and let's just go back and look at the first game, Washington played the Giants. Yeah, they made Russell Wilson look real bad, but they didn't look great themselves. But in my opinion, neither did the Packers against the Lions, who have a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. And with the way that Detroit wasn't able to move the ball like they normally do, I thought the Packers should have put up way more points on them. But again, it was only the first game of the season. So what I'm saying is it's hard to really get a grasp on how good either of these teams will be based off the first game that they played. Now, Dan Quinn, he coached Michael Parsons. So if Michael Parsons does play, maybe he knows some things about Michael Parsons that can help the Washington Commanders kind of offset Michael Parsons a little bit. For me, this game just comes down to who I believe is the better quarterback with the game on the line. And I think after seeing enough of what Jaden Daniels did last year and then seeing him persevere in week 1 against the Giants, I believe Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback under pressure and in high pressure moments, end of the game moments than Jordan Love. This game could easily come down to who has the ball last. Both of these teams are good teams, and it promises to be a good football game this evening. I'm going to take the Commanders, but I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay won the game. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Mocha Bella says she has the Packers. I don't think that's a terrible pick. The Packers could easily come in here and win this football game. Now, I do expect a high-scoring football game. But I'm interested to see how this game plays out. I hope Michael Parsons does play, and I hope that he's somewhere close to 100%. He might not be 100, but if he can be 90, 85, 90%, because I want to see how magical is Jayden Daniels when you have somebody like that coming around that edge and you got big Rashawn Gary pushing that pocket up the middle and causing havoc himself. What kind of magic do you have? Is Deebo Samuel the answer? Is Terry McLaurin, is he ready to go? They got a lot of good weapons in Washington. Zach Ertz, they had the new running back. His name is Bill. Let's just call him Bill. I know he ain't got Bill nowhere in his name. But he said call him Bill, so I'm calling him Bill. I respect that. The Wicked. We're going to see if he can duplicate what he did in game one. We know what the Packers represent. The new wide receiver they got out of Notre Dame, Matthew Golden. You got Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Tucker Kraft, and you got Josh Jacobs back there. I expect to see a high-scoring game this evening. But we'll see. A couple more football topics before we get out of here. The Chiefs and the Eagles Super Bowl rematch. Y'all know I ride with the Eagles. And I'm riding with the Eagles again this week. The Chiefs are on a losing streak right now. And their wide receiver situation is starting to concern me. Rashee Rice being gone for another 5 games, that's pretty big. But Hollywood Brown, I like Hollywood Brown, but you got to catch that ball, Hollywood. And I'm really skeptical of Kansas City running game because I think the injuries have already taken a toll on Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. He's just getting long in the tooth. I mean, I like him. He's solid. He's a gamer, and he's more reliable than Isaiah Pacheco to me, but he's not the Kareem Hunt of 5-6 years ago. I know they retooled the offensive line, but it's still an offensive line that's gradually getting better every week, and they haven't got necessarily to where they need to be. And Travis Kelce, I don't know if it's age or Taylor Swift just has got all his interest and all his focus right now. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be in love and he shouldn't be riding this thing out with Taylor Swift because, in my opinion, it's a very good decision. But football is a whole nother thing. And I don't see the Eagles having the distractions that Kansas City has right now. Mocha, I'm glad you finally came over to the right side of the fence. This is the side of the fence that don't have that dog that's ready to bite you on the ass. This is the safe side of the fence where you got the Philadelphia Eagles. I appreciate that. Stacy, I know you're going to be on the right side of the fence. Only time that you're on the wrong side of the fence is when Russell Wilson is involved. You're going to get tore up every time fooling around with that Russell Wilson. And I told y'all folk on Tuesday, if Russell Wilson don't perform well this week, it's over with. He probably sit it out the rest of the year and be a backup in case Jackson Dart get hurt. But this could be the last year that we see Russell Wilson play. And I got to talk to Mocha about this before I get to the Terrence Crawford fight. And I asked Mocha this last week. I don't know what the Dolphins going to do with Tyreek Hill, but I see if this man don't have 130 receiving yards this week and a touchdown, not just 130 yards, if he don't have 130 yards and a touchdown, something's going to be bad in Miami outside of the fish. Y'all got to get together down there, Mocha. I don't know what's going on with your Dolphins, but it ain't sweet right now. The head coach in trouble, the quarterback, it seems like he's regressed. Tyreek Hill, he ready to blow a fuse. Your running backs can't stay healthy. It's ugly down there. It's ugly down there. Tua and Tyreek not getting along. Mocha, you ain't breaking no news. You ain't breaking no news. We know they ain't getting along. They ain't been getting along since they lost their last game of the season. And Tyreek Hill said, y'all might well go ahead and get me up out of here. Get me on up out of here. Trade me. Now, I think Tyreek Hill need to go ahead and take your money and play it on out because the league can do you like they did T.O. And now they starting to surface all these domestic violence allegations out against Tyreek Hill to make him look bad in the media, in my opinion. I normally don't want to talk about it, but this is about the media trying to make the brother look bad. You can guarantee Mike McDaniels. Yeah, Mike McDaniels, he don't win 10 games this year. I think he out the door. And unfortunately, I don't see Miami winning 10 games. Stacey, shut up. I love Russell. I know you do. And you can keep loving him. All the way out the door. All the way back home. I don't know where he gonna move. Maybe him and Sierra move right down here to the A once it's all over with. That's where she from. I don't know. Cause Future down here, so she might not want to be around Future now. They might want to not be around Future. Maybe they move back to Seattle. Maybe they stick it out in New York so she can have some sort of music career. I guess she want to try to revamp her music career or whatnot. I don't know what she want to do. But New York is a great opportunity to do some of the things that you might want to do in the entertainment business. Also this weekend in Vegas, we don't have shoot it and pass it, but we do have Canelo versus Crawford this weekend. Now Crawford had to go up and wait to make this fight. And even though Crawford mama said that Crawford ain't never lost a fight in his life, and I've never seen him lose a fight in his life, he's one of the all-time great fighters in my opinion. And he does go out and he fights guys who are supposed to be some. Well, here's another fight. Terrence Crawford is fighting a very viable opponent in Canelo, meaning that Canelo is a pro. Canelo is a very good fighter. I wouldn't call him an all-time great, but he's a very good fighter. He's a champion. And a fight is a fight. And usually one shot could turn a fight one way or the other. Canelo can beat Terrence Crawford. I'm going to say that. Canelo is capable of beating Terrence Crawford. I just don't believe it's going to happen. I believe Terrence Crawford going to handle that business, and he going to, maybe even send Canelo into retirement. This could be it for Canelo. Because Canelo has lost a couple fights, not as of recent, but over the last few years, and or he hasn't shown to be the Canelo that he used to be. I believe that it's very risky for Terrence Crawford to jump weights like that, but he understands the history of fighters. And all the great fighters were able to conquer multiple weight classes. So this is just another opportunity to add to his greatness. So I'm taking Crawford fight. I'm going with Crawford. Mocha, I'm glad that you're doing the right thing, Mocha, and standing on the right side of the fence. Yeah, but I think we got to go with Crawford almost. Also, they paid Future, and when she say they paid Future, I believe she's saying that Sierra and Russell Wilson paid Future to kind of keep their distance, to stay away, to let them be a family, for Russell Wilson to be the father of his child, her child, how that worked. Then now Russell Wilson can get his last name changed. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, but that's their prerogative. Russell Wilson, you got your own kids with her. Don't go change the kid name and wiping away his future. And I mean, no pun intended, but wiping away his past, should I say, and not understanding who he come from and what legacy he's really born in, But again, whatever them folks up there in Hollywood and that tax bracket want to do, by all means, they doing that. Stacey want to know, am I coming to the fight? I plan on coming to the fight. I plan on coming to the fight. I look forward to this fight. There's a sham fight coming up in November between Jake Paul and Tank. that I think is a sham fight, but I am interested in watching the fight. And there's another fight that I will not be watching, that I have no interest in, that's coming up, and that's Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson. Why? Why y'all fighting? What's going on? I made a vow to myself after the last Tyson fight against Jake Paul that I would never watch Mike Tyson fight inside of a ring again. Now, if it's in a back alley somewhere and it's anything goes street fight and they put it on, I'm gonna watch it. But I'm never watching Mike Tyson in the ring, in the square circle with boxing gloves on, fight again. That is something I am not interested in. I'm not finna watch a 60-year-old man in the ring trying to fight nobody. It's not happening. So let's just get that on out the way. And this is why I love Mocha, and I call her Sweet Mocha. I don't agree with changing Lil Future last name to Wilson. Right, that's Lil Future. You know, Lil Future might, he ain't gonna have he don't have the football pedigree that Russell Wilson had, but he might can spit on that mic like his dad. And he need to understand that's where he come from. Now, why can I rap so good? I wonder, why am I so musically inclined? And somebody need to give him the history. Sit him down and be like, this is your dad. Your dad was a great entertainer. He was a great performer. He was a great rapper. He can get on the beat and he can flip that beat with words and have everybody vibing. That's your legacy, young man. That's your history. Your mama is the one who want to be all in about with everybody as long as they got their bread. And she found her somebody in Russell Wilson who she can settle down with. He'll probably do whatever she say, take her wherever she need to go, and put her in the arenas that she need to be in. Even my mama, as much as she loved Russell Wilson, she told me that Russell Wilson ain't as good as he supposed to be because he's too focused on Sierra. And that's just what it is. And that is the controversial truth. You know, I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I know there was a controversial topics going on, but hey, who would I be if I didn't bring the controversy? That's just how I go. So again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure that y'all tune in on Monday at 1 o'clock to the Raw Side of Things. We're going to have Magic City's DJ in the building. And I ain't going to make no promises, but we might got some strippers coming through. We might got some Magic City strippers coming through Monday on the Raw Side of Things. Make sure you tune in Monday at 1 o'clock and see how that go. I appreciate Mocha. I appreciate Poe, Tony Williams, Stacey McKenzie, everybody who tuned in today to the controversial truth. Win the revolution. Make sure, if y'all got an opportunity tonight, go to 2 Raw for TV. 2 Raw for TV. Check out my partner, the revolutionary, Palmetto Star. They got a lot to talk about when it comes to things of this nature. Charlie Kirk, other political things, other things that affect the black community. Go to 2 Raw for TV and check out my partner, Palmetto Star. The man is a legend in the conscious community. Until next Tuesday, when Sam should be back from his vacation down in Florida. I know he told me he was taking some classes, but I know old folk go down to Florida to rejuvenate their bones, So, Sam, have a safe trip getting back. When you get back, we'll get into more of these sports topics. To the end, I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. And I always remember, the truth will suffice. Peace.